Okay, well, greetings everybody. I'm very pleased to be here, and I think this is a very important meeting. I can talk while this is working. Can you look up? Yeah, that's fine. What I want to do is show you a much wider picture than this. I just discovered something called FAIR Open Access Alliance. Anybody know of this? No. Well, this is the word fair as in fair trade. In other words, being fair to the rest of the world. And it has absolutely nothing to do with free, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. Now, there's nothing wrong with FAIR that we're discussing here, but it is only a small amount of the picture. And if we concentrate on Western values in this, we are going to disadvantage a huge amount of the planet. So, what I want to show is that scientific knowledge should be available to everybody on the planet for free. This is technically possible, and it is only the lack of political will that stops us doing it. Here we go, jolly good, thank you very much indeed. Okay, I'm going to present to you the scientific knowledge base of the future, and it works on this. This is a Raspberry Pi. You can buy them for $30 or pounds or whatever. They're made in Cambridge, and they're available throughout the world. And this is a terabyte disk. It costs about $30, and you can put the whole of the world's scientific knowledge on those two things, and you have a complete distributable search engine. And the only thing in the way of that is restrictions which are put on by companies, by lawyers, and by universities. So, I've got you awake anyway. So, the problem we have here is that this is what many people have today. They have literally thousands of articles. During my talk, there will be 60 of these articles published in the world. Right now, 60 academic articles. Nobody can read it, so you have to use machines. So I've developed ContentMine with a number of wonderful people with the basis that anything out in the world that humans can read must be readable by machines. And since we've heard how difficult FAIR, I'll call that capital FAIR, is, we have to write software to get around that, because nobody's actually going to do FAIR on more than a 3 or 4% basis. I'm a crystallographer. I'm proud to be that. Crystallographers are fair, but chemists are not, and most life scientists. So, the new vision is it's a whole new ecosystem of preprints, unpaywall, Wikimedia, repositories, ContentMine and others, which are changing the way that knowledge is going to be created and disseminated. And if we don't do it, people will die. I've said closed access means people die, and I'll show you that in a minute. And our current system of publishing journals divides the world. It makes haves and have-nots, which I think is totally pernicious. So I propose here a new generation of citizen-based search tools. Now, what's a citizen? Now, the Budapest Open Access Initiative was a brilliant piece of writing, and it's been almost completely ignored, the bottom paragraph here. It is to share the learning of the rich with the poor and the poor with the rich, and we have totally failed to do that. In fact, we say to the poor, the Global South, you're not part of our community, you can't publish with us, and we don't regard what you do as worth publishing. And this is what we're aiming for, a common intellectual quest for knowledge. So, just to show you this, as I said, this would cost me £2,000 to publish. I don't have £2,000 that I want to spend on that. I would rather spend my money on that. But the APCs that publishers charge are appalling. Here on the left is archive. It costs $10 in archive. You can get it for free, but that's the actual hidden cost. And a commercial publisher will charge you some 200 times greater than that, of which 30% goes to shareholders, 30% to corporate glory and branding and marketing, and 30% to a totally inefficient way of disseminating knowledge. And here are two examples. I've been invited to be on an editorial board. The publisher, I said, is there a waiver for the Global South? No, we encourage authors to publish high-quality papers. Great. So, you're in Zimbabwe. Well, that's bad luck. You've got to pay an APC. And another one, these are both high-quality publishers. We're not going to validate data. We expect our voluntary reviewers to do any data validation. This is broken. And it's part of the publisher academic complex where taxpayers, students and researchers pump money into academia through their taxes. Academia pumps it into bloated, inefficient, money-grabbing companies, and all they give back to the academics is glory. They do not enhance the material that goes into them. They actually destroy it. Giving scientific knowledge to a scientific publisher destroys knowledge, as I will show you.
Yeah.
Right, so this is where it gets serious. This was published 35 years ago in a not very well-known journal. The results indicate that Liberia has to be included in the Ebola and Marburg virus epidemic zone. That is pretty clear to a 12-year-old, isn't it? That's clear to everybody on the planet that in Liberia you should watch out for Ebola virus. And that is still behind a paywall. 35 years, it's behind a paywall, and it cost you $45. Well, what happened? 11,000 people died. Now, whether that was due to that or not, I'm not qualified to say. But the Ministry of Health in Liberia is upset, outraged that that is still behind a paywall. So I'm going to show you that we can get around this. I'm going to show you a citizen search. And what this is a search for Zika in West Africa. Could Zika come to West Africa? Are there any virologists here? No? Okay. Well, you've got an amateur one here, right? Okay. So I'm going to, where is it? I'll type it in. Okay, so this is a software which was written in ContentMine by a very bright PhD student. Get papers, minus query, quotes, Zika and Liberia. Minus O, we've got to put it somewhere, so I'll put it in somewhere called junk. Well-known home. We'll download the XML. That is not beyond the wit of a 15-year-old to understand, and I will show you a 15-year-old who does understand it. Well, of course I can't. Not under pressure. Oh, come on. We need some quotes. I'm going to build a GUI for this, right? Okay. But off it goes. It's gone to your PubMed Central. It's found 107 results. It's going to download them. It did this very quickly. All downloads succeeded. So it's downloaded 100 papers while we were talking on Zika and whatever. And that might contain the clue to the next endemic in West Africa. Back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so I'm also done the same for Pam with ferromagnetism. So this technology works for anything, right? We've done it for transgender studies. There's nothing special about this. It's a very simple technology. It uses what are called terms, right? I thought I'd bring this up at the moment because we're coming on to this. That was just to get the search going. You'll see the end of the search in a few minutes. So this FAIR is about being fair to the world, that we must not have publication conditional on the payment of a fee. In my view, it is outrageous for us to be charging Zimbabweans $2,000 to publish a paper which could be valuable to us. For goodness sake, the future of us will depend on Zimbabwe as well as the other way around. I put this under my own things, that this should be centered on readers, not authors, readers. It should be equitable throughout the world. It should be affordable, it should highlight citizens, and it should be transparent. Because if there's one thing scholarly publishing isn't at the moment, it is transparent. So, here are the Zimbabweans. They're having a great time. And here you've got it. The equipment there, which they're using for fermentation, cost them $80. It costs them 25 times that to publish the results. So they're not going to publish the results, or they publish it closed. So they are second-class citizens. Here's Guan Jiang, one of our ContentMine fellows. He wants to look at how weevils associated with plants. You can't just go out and, find that. Our tools will search for that easily. Neo wants to find what programs are used in computational biology, and I'll show you that for computational ferromagnetism in a minute. Here are some of the group in MozFest. Again, most of these people are not in academia, but they're absolutely burning keen to do this. And here's one of my heroes, Julia Redder, who's actually spearheading copyright reform. She's a member of the European Parliament, so she can't write software. She bloody well can write software, and this is her running our software in Brussels. Here's Lars. He's 15 years old. He wanted to work on chemicals and pine trees, and he did a fantastic job. Citizens are not just those people in this room. So our goal is to read 10,000, 100,000 papers every day on one of these. It's possible. The only thing that stops it is the appalling legal restrictions of publishers and the terrible websites. They are the worst websites in the world, the publisher website, and what they deliver is the worst PDF that I have ever seen. Right. When we get it, we index it against Wikidata. How many people have used Wikidata? Wikidata, not Wikipedia. Well, Wikidata is going to become the future of science, so you should start using it. And we publish the results to Zenodo. Let's get that. What we're looking for in those papers is actually what comes out of it. And how many people know how Zika is spread? Well, you do, because it's on the screen there. It's Aedes aegypti, and it will transmit Zika and yellow fever and dengue and another set of lovely diseases to you. But if you just type Zika in, the literature will actually tell you, as you'll see in a minute, that it's stuffed with mosquitoes. We didn't ask for mosquitoes, and you see that in a minute. Okay, here they are. Commonest words in Zika papers are these: Aedes aegypti, mosquito, detection, aegypti, etc. Albopictus, that's another one, the tiger mosquito. And we didn't ask for that. The literature is telling you what's out there. It is intelligent. Well, slightly. So we work with Wikimedia. WikiFactMine, Wikidata is our project that we were funded to by Wikimedia, and it is the greatest semantic resource, public semantic resource in the world. There are bigger ones which belong to Google and co, but the biggest public semantic resource is Wikidata. We're looking at content like this. This will never become FAIR, but we are going to take the garbage that's in these papers and turn it into semantic FAIR data, and I'll show you that in a minute. We can do this for chemistry, so we can read this stuff here and we can turn it into complete semantic chemical markup language, which Henry and I developed. We can read those chemical pictures, which are made of bits, and turn them into semantic chemistry. Here's a graph on the left-hand side. There, it happens to be astrophysics, but it might as well be ferromagnetism or anything. And that graph is much use, but we can turn it into data. The data is actually in the graph, and we put it out, and we can do it. We've got a CSV file which corresponds to what the author put into that before it was destroyed in the publication process. So it's not much fun recovering stuff from that, but it's starting to work. And this is our greatest success, is we've got phylogenetic trees up there of microorganisms, and you can extract those on a huge basis, nearly 5,000 of those, and turn them into a supertree. Oh, I thought I'd just show you a chamber of horrors here. Those occur in the main text of various publications. That's the sort of stuff we get, and we're going to be getting this for years. The bottom is not from an Australian journal, it's actually from a Northern European journal. They just think that doing it that way up is fun. And then the most heartbreaking business of it. If you try and text mine in the literature, the publishers will stop you, even though it is legal. And when they do, they will write to the university, and the university will stop you doing your research. And that has happened across Britain, it's happened across Europe. And nobody in universities stands up for the researcher. They just bow down in front of the publishers and say, oh, we're terribly sorry, please put us back on. The publishers cut you off for text mining, and I think it's an appalling state that no university has stood up for this. I am actually not doing any text mining in Cambridge because the university asked me not to, because we might, before I even started, before we might get cut off. Yeah, it's funny in retrospect, but my research has been destroyed. And here's Chris. This is all set out on his blog. He's a hero. So here's the future. One Raspberry Pi, one disk. And what do the Raspberry Pi people say? Our mission is to put the power of computing and digital making into the hands of people all over the world. We should adopt those principles. Raspberry Pi sees the future, and it is making it. ContentMine sees the future and is helping to make it. You need to look at people outside academia in the north. So, one of the things we've put together is a complete search for medical knowledge. We put this into Wellcome Trust as a proposal, so I'm not going to discuss it in detail. It was going to be announced today in some way, but this takes in literally 500,000 papers, filters them through here, puts bits on Zenodo, Wikidata, and uses all these dictionaries, and they're dictionaries not just on medicine, but they can be on things like poverty and NGOs. It's easy to add these things, so you can come up with public policy here. And then the results come out for citizens. And we've got to wake up and make citizens at the centre of search. This is just showing roughly how it works. So this is what's happening while you're under the skin in this machine when you're not looking. It goes all the way down, forms what we call a dashboard. And here is the dashboard. And this is more or less the end, but I'm going to show you the actual dashboard if it's still working. So here's the dashboard on flaviviruses. Here are the insecticides. Let's see what permethrin is. Off it goes to Wikipedia, Wikidata. That is where the future of knowledge is. This means you can read the paper. Instead of saying, oh, I don't know what permethrin is, I won't look at that paper. You say, yes, Wikidata is our friend. Here's another one. This is another insecticide. And all these things here. So this dashboard here has every paper. It's got 500 papers in the time that I've been talking, with something like a dozen facets, chemistry, drugs, public policy, all the rest of it. And I said, this is about my last slide, I said that I would do something for Pam. So the next one then is ferroelectric. Here is ferroelectric. We've looked for all determinative magnetism, domain, anisotropy, etc. These are 50 papers from archive. Actually, it's 25 because 25 PDFs were so awful that I've got to go back and change the code. But you can see that this is all pretty good stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm trying to save my papers.
And here we've got the crystallography, triclinic, monoclinic, temperature, etc. Here we've got the calculations, DFT, hybrid, Orca, Dalton, Siesta, you know them all and so on. But this will tell you which papers use which codes. You can't find that out from Google. So that, I think, is essentially the end. Oh, by the way, here's what we found about dengue. Anyone go to Madeira in your holidays? Anyone? Well, if you do, the dengue mosquito, the Aedes aegypti, lives in the flower pots, right? I've learned something. See, you read the literature tells you flower pots, watch out for it. If I were doing public health in Madeira, I might be concerned about flower pots. That is the sort of information which we are not giving to citizens, and this paper could be read by any public health official in the world, and they would take notice of that. So the final one is, any questions? That's the question.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Peter?
Thank you. I'm completely ideologically on board with freeze in freedom, fairness, great idea, I'd love to talk. I was just wondering, from your perspective, what would your advice to a early career researcher be when they're looking for making their early publications? Because reputation-wise, you have to publish, but I agree with you that there are problems with the publishing landscape and things not being accessible.
So first of all, my heart bleeds for you. You are have you heard of Bullied into Bad Science from Karina Logan? Karina's an early career researcher, and she feels your pain, and she knows what early career researchers go through. There is not an easy answer, but one of the things you can do is to get into the community of early career researchers. Write to Karina, write to Erin McKiernan, write to Joe MacArthur, and so on. They're all on our website and elsewhere, and you get one. They will have the best possible response to what is a totally outrageous situation. I think it's going to break at some stage. That's no help to you. It's not much fun being in the front of a revolution. But I think this is going to break over the next 5 years. And, I see so many early career researchers who say, we're just not putting up with it. I had 2 things today, 1 or 2 I can't mention, but early career researchers have written to the European Commission and said, Elsevier is unacceptable, it is breaking competition rules. And that is somebody who's just graduated from Imperial, John Tennant. I have so much admiration for John and so many of the others. So no easy answers, but at least find your friends.
Thank you.
Still a question. Hello, research support librarian here. Part of my role is to talk to postgraduate researchers about things like literature searching, research data management, and so on and so forth. What can I do to help?
Fine. Well, I think I now understand that most first-year graduate students will actually have a systematic review of some sort. It's increasingly common. Our software is designed precisely for that. So we would love you, well, I will talk to you during tea, but you can have this, and I would love to work out how we take a cohort through. I mean, it's not trivial, but the software works, and it's far better than doing anything by hand with the tools that are available from, Web of Science or anything of this sort. I mean, some of these reviews, we work with Imperial College, not Imperial, UCL, who does systematic reviews. They get 99.9% false positives. 50,000 papers, of which only 50 were worth reading for their particular thing. That is how bad the current search engines are provided by the major publishers. And this puts it in the hands of the researcher.
Thank you, Peter. That was very interesting, very entertaining, and important. I feel it is very important. But how, before I go back home and burn the only copy I have of the report we wrote, how do we put across elements of that to our paymasters and get traction about changing policy in the direction that you're talking about?
It's not easy. I think you have to work out various political axes. One is training, another is the national interest, another is global challenges and so on. These are the things which people cannot run away from. So we need this knowledge to tackle all of those things. I mean, I've talked to European commissioners on this, and they have listened and so on. Moidas and and Nelly Cruz and one or two others and so on. They understand it. Some of the commissioners don't understand, but or rather they don't want to. But we are actually in a fight with the European Commission for freedom of knowledge at the moment. So if your masters, as you call them, actually care, then I can make this issue very clear. I'm quite happy to come and talk to them and so forth. They've got to care about freedom of knowledge and the use of knowledge. I mean, I run a small business, right? It's a non-profit startup. They are so disadvantaged by this. Wendy Hall in Southampton has said, artificial intelligence depends at least 50% on mining the literature. And here we are prevented from mining the literature. We are cutting our own throat for the next generation of growth technologies. And I'll say that to anybody in the cabinet.
Okay, there's one more question.
I just wanted to thank you so much for your brilliant talk. I actually was recommended to this because you were here by Martha Tedworth. She's now the corporate coordinator. So thank you very much. I just want to make a quick marketing call here because talking about early career researcher at TU Delft in the Netherlands on the 26th of September, we're having a workshop on time for open science skills to count in academic careers. So if you would like to attend it, it's a free event. We are working with European Open Science Cloud, the pilot, so to gather requirements for early career researchers to actually make their open science activism count.
Okay, thank you. We probably should break for our tea, which is 20 minutes. Thank you very much.